With us now is the legendary Phil Hurtt. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me.
So the first thing I saw when you walked in is that you had your veteran's cap on before you had your fine fedora on.
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your service?
I was in the Air Force from, believe it or not, 1959 through 63 during the Vietnamese conflict. I was a air-to-ground communication specialist, radios, radar attack and equipment, and ILS systems and things like that. Spent 4 years, 4 great years. For me, it was like going to college because I was 17 when I went in. And a little bit naive, but when I came out, I had a better understanding what the world was about. So from that point, I began to actually got back with my brother who had a group of singers. And I didn't necessarily agree with the way they were doing their business, so I went independent.
Okay.
And I ran into some friends of mine that I knew from high school, Tom Bell and Bobby Eli, and realized that they were on the music scene, which is where I wanted to be, because I was always writing, even as a child. So we got together on a couple of things, and it blew up into something that was marvelous. It was Kenny Gamble and Huff and all the other guys that we knew, some of the guys we knew in school and so forth. And that's in a nutshell, you know.
That's the Reader's Digest version of your career. Tonight is special. Tell us why you decided to celebrate with all of your friends here tonight.
Well, I was invited I was surprised that they even considered me. I felt humbled by this experience. And the people that they were honoring, Blue Magic and Gene Carn and the Ingram Brothers, I know all of them, and some folks I haven't met yet. But I had heard about this organization and respected, and I said, well, this is great. Let me get an opportunity to come up and say hi and participate a bit, So it's exciting for me, especially at this point in my life.
And you were, I know, I can't even believe you've been as many decades around the clock and around the sun as you have been, because I looked at you and I kept looking, I was like squinting and I was like, oh, you look so good. You do. So continued happiness in your journey of health.
All right, she's sitting out there.
I would love to meet your wife after we're done. What's her first name?
Louise.
Louise, hey, this is Donna. We're just hanging out, and whatever you're doing to show him love, he looks younger than ever. So today, I also wanted to ask you, you were saying that you were writing songs. Tell us about some of the hits that you've written, some of the things that you've been involved in. You've also produced other acts.
I've written a lot of songs. All of them are not hits, but the biggest hits that I've written have been for different people, the Village People, for the Ritchie family, and for the OJs, and for the Spinners. The biggest one is I'll Be Around by the Spinners. And that's been covered about 45 different times.
Yeah, it has been. And so give us the first few bars of that.
Whenever you call me, I'll be there.
Whenever you want me, I'll be there.
Whenever you need me,
I think I may do that tonight,
I'll
actually.
be there. I'll be around.
That's it.
Oh.
My children call that song tuition.
Do you have any grandchildren yet?
I have 6 granddaughters, 1
I
grandson.
call it tuition too.
Yeah, soccer fees.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song.
Thank you so much.
What inspired you to write that?
I've been writing all of my life since I was a little kid. My older brother was a writer. He was probably the consummate, what do you want to call this guy? Somebody who had all the talent and never realized it and never really got to the point where he should have been, as far as I'm concerned. His name was Al. He passed away. But he would write songs, and we had an old Wallensack tape recorder my mother bought, and he would put the songs down without lyric on it. He'd have an idea, and he would leave them there and say, don't touch it. But when he'd come back, I had written lyrics on it. So it was fine. So one of the things I did to earn a few dollars when I was in the Air Force was write love letters to my friends' girlfriends,
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I love that. Like you were like the ghostwriter, right? I love that. Okay.
I did a lot of that. Made a few dollars, and it was successful for them.
Wait a second. The other guys in the Air Force were paying you to write love letters back home to their girls. Right. Wow, I love that. So did any of those become songs? And then did like somebody say, "Oh my gosh, he wrote that to me"? And
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
Because I was like 17, 18, 19 in the service. I wasn't thinking about. I love music. I was singing in some of the officers' clubs and doing things like that, but not writing for that for that purpose.
What are some of your other favorite tunes?
Oh, my favorite songs?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Whether you wrote them or not.
I have different. Oh my goodness. There's a song that my friend Linda Creed wrote with Tommy. Oh my goodness, there's so many of them though. I hate to pick a favorite. Oh my goodness.
Well, when you're laying in bed at night, oh, you go ahead.
People make the world go. People make the world go round. I love that. But they had such great melodies. Tommy's one of those guys that could grab a melody out of the air.
Right.
And that's what happened with I'll Be Around.
Okay.
I was working on the OJs that evening, and Tommy came and around the office with my partner then was Bunny Sigler. I don't know if you Bunny Sigler, great singer, passed away. And his partner, Linda Creed, had gotten married. And he said, look, I need some help with this, you know.
Okay.
So he said, come back to the office, and he played it for me. He gave me a tape. He said, I'll Be Around. He gave me the title. You know, he said, but stay with the hook. I said, good.
Okay.
So I took it home, and I was watching the 76ers get beat by the Knicks, I believe it was. and I was writing the OJs, I think a song called Sunshine at that point. And the idea popped into my head, the story for I'll Be Around. This is my fork in the road. Love's last episode. There's nowhere to go. You made your choice. So now it's up to me to bow out gracefully. And I stopped right there because the song had been written. The rest of it was easy after that, you know. I answered that same question in an interview a few years ago for the Wall Street Journal. They were doing a thing called the Anatomy of a Song.
Okay.
And he thought it was strange that a man would be writing a song about unrequited love, you know. But I've always been that sensitive to whatever, as you said, divinely inspires me.
Yes.
Whatever comes is what I try to give back. So, but yeah, it's been fun.
So as a songwriter and as a singer and as a performer, at what point in your journey did you then start producing other people? Because you rattled off a whole bunch of acts a few minutes ago.
There's some things that happen as you're going through that process of writing and experiencing other writers and other singers, and you see other people producing. Then you start to understand that you have certain abilities, and if you don't have, you stick around long enough, and if that is your spirit, you'll pick those things up, and you'll learn how to handle artists and how to handle people. And a lot of it comes from your own inner self. For example, there are people who don't know how to handle certain artists. They don't know how to talk to certain artists. But if you take the time to watch and listen and learn, you know, it's an awesome experience. And then you find yourself producing records, writing songs, meeting people, you know, and just, you know, spotting talent. And rather than trying to take like Sister Sledge, like Sister Sledge, when we got them early in 1973, Kathy was 13 years old. They didn't, I even gave them their name. They didn't even know what, that was a whole nother story. But actually, they have an innate talent that we have, as producers, have to try and catch. A lot of other producers were trying to make them sound like somebody else. But there's a thing with family singers like Sister Sledge. They have a harmony, they have a feel together, and their grandmother was a gospel singer, and they were going to call them the Sledge Sisters, which is kind of common. But I started thinking about their name, and I said, you know, let's give it some mystery. And I remember a gospel singer named Sister Rosetta Tharpe. So I said, rather than call them Kathy and the Sledge Sisters, or the Sledge, call them Sister Sledge. So they don't know whether it's one person or a group. And but they didn't know that. They were so young. I was talking to Kathy a few weeks ago. She didn't know how they were named. They were guessing, I guess. But I remember talking to her mom. I said, Sister Sledge. And she said, well, check and see if LeBaron Taylor, I mentioned earlier, my mentor at Atlantic Records, see if he would like the idea. And I said, he's going to be cool with it. So I called and I said, look, he said, I'm good with that. That sounds good. It was good. So that's how they got their name. I called them my ulcers. I called them Kathy, Joni, Debbie, and Kim. And they know that. It's an inside kind of a thing with them.
So being in the music industry, still being in the music industry, what brings you the greatest joy of your journey?
My children and my grandchildren, because they are, well, both my daughters record, and one is a writer. I mean, she's got this fabulous book out. The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes by Sierra. Her name is Sierra, but she's going under Zio Axelrod, and it's doing very well. And it's about a young girl with a band who grew up in Philadelphia. Well, where else, you know? And Gabrielle is out here. She's sort of watching over Dad with my wife and my son-in-law. But those are the things that inspire me. And also when I see young talent, And I sometimes am concerned for what the business can do to talent. Period. When you find young talent, and you know, it is what it is. You know, it's been I got some horror stories like everybody else. You know, but the one thing I didn't want to do is succumb to it. So what I had done later is back away. Back away and take care of more business because I'm concerned now about the publishing. That's my phone. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It could be you can't hear it. Oh, well, that's his phone, but hopefully it's not important. Your wife's probably like, where could he possibly be? Talking to Donna Drake. So your family brings you joy, and when you're listening to the radio, what is it that you're listening to?
I listen to everything. I really like. I like the oldies, of course. Okay. But see, my oldies can really go back to the '50s when I was a teenager. But I like what I hear from Bruno Mars. He's my new favorite guy. Nice. I mean, because he reminds me of what was happening back in my time. In fact, the new one he has out now has an arrangement by Larry Gold, who was one of the cello players for MFSB.
Tell me that you're coming through.
Back in the day, so he brought that flavor back. But he's one of my favorites right now. I like Jennifer Hudson. I've been loving her for a while. Young girl, she does powerful, awesome talent. There's a few around.
Okay.
There's a few around.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
I so appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with me. I could, I'll be around. I'm still singing that in my head as I'm sitting here looking into your eyes. I just have to tell you. And before we go, let's do one more song. What's something else that we can celebrate?
Let's see. How about our village people, San Francisco? Remember that San Francisco?
Yes.
San Francisco. Yeah.
San Francisco. Take me to the world.
That too in Hollywood. Everybody is a star in Hollywood. And Richie Family is the best disco in town, and all of that.
Fun stuff.
Fun.
Thank you. This was really just a joy. I'm honored to know you. So I'm just going to shake your hand.
Thank you so much.
And once again, thank you for your service. It really matters to me because I wouldn't have the life that I have or the freedoms that I have unless it was for people like you that actually went out of your way to fight for them. So thank you.
Thank you.
And hey, we'll be right back. We're hanging out right here, having a lot of fun times at the Paradise. We're at the Paradise tonight.
Paradise.
What a nice name that is. All right, stay tuned. We'll be dancing. We'll be dancing.